Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Lisbon Panther podcast. This is our last episode of 2022, and I'm your guest host, Mrs. Locke. Our last episode was a visit with local veterans for Memorial Day. If you missed it, you can still check out previous episodes on the Lisbon Panther YouTube page. This week's episode is all about the high school trip to New York City. But before we hear about that, let's find out what's going on this week and the last 2 days of school. Congratulations to the baseball and softball teams for great seasons. In the elementary, to end out the year of the book, author Jim Arnowski is visiting with students in grades K through 6. They will also have the year of the book community meeting finals. The National Honor Society induction will be held on Tuesday, June 7th at 5:30 p.m. Congratulations to inductees Ophelia Beebe, Julia Aldrich-Gauthier, and Dylan Colby. Kindergarten celebration is at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, June 7th, and the 8th grade celebration is on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Grades 5 through 7 will hold their awards assembly on Wednesday, June 8th at 10 o'clock, and high school will be on Friday at 1 o'clock. Elementary field day will be on Friday, June 10th. Students should be wearing special colors for that day. Middle and high school field day is on the last day of school, which is Tuesday, June 14th. There are a few field trips that are also finishing out the year. Most importantly, we hope you can join us on Thursday, June 9th for the middle and high school spring concert, and on Sunday, June 12th is Lisbon's graduation at 2 o'clock. And now back to today's episode. Today I have with me Piper Blodgett and Caitlin Trevina, juniors, Ophelia Beebe, Max Cryans, Dominic Otero, and Madison Socher, sophomores. They're here to talk about the New York trip. So, what was your initial reaction when you heard that we had received a generous grant from the Ed Foundation that would allow you and your classmates to travel to New York City and see Hamilton on Broadway?
I was so excited. I'm a really excitable person, and seeing just Broadway in general, anything Broadway related, was just super high up there on the list of things that make me excited.
I was also really generous to have this opportunity to be able to go to New York City and experience everything going on. With this small town in Lisbon, we don't have a lot of opportunities to do a lot of field trips and go to a lot of places. So with this grant that we got, we're all super grateful and had the opportunity to go down.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. For me, again, as you said, Dominic, we don't have a lot of things to do here in Lisbon, and it was very broad, just being able to see what we could see. Again, do appreciate being able to go there. Coming into New York, I guess one of my favorite parts that I could see was they had a lot of murals and paintings on buildings going in. For the most part, it was very broad for exploration, and a lot of it was just enjoyable.
Yeah, I would agree. As I said, as our school being a rural school, and just in my life in general, we don't get a huge lot of opportunities to get out of where we're from. I mean, I personally very rarely leave New England, so being able to see this kind of place was very exciting. I think some of the activities were more appealing than others at first, but in the end I found all of them to be very enjoyable, and just having that different kind of culture to experience in a place that was different from here, like in a city or just a different part of the world.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
New York was, once I heard that we're going to New York, I was really excited because New York was the farthest trip I ever went to, and then never going to a huge city and stuff like that other than Boston to have that experience. It was really exciting to hear, and then to get all the stuff in and then finally know, yes, I'm ready to go to New York. I was really excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Madison?
I was really excited, but I wasn't too excited for Hamilton specifically because I'm not a huge fan of musicals, and Hamilton just didn't seem like the kind of musical I would want to see. But then when we got there, it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. It was really cool. It was very fun. They sang the entire time. I thought they were gonna have a little bit of chatting, But no, they sang the entire time and it was really good. Their vocals were incredible.
Yeah, they were. Musicals be like that sometimes, though.
Yeah, especially for a first though, I was ecstatic. I mean, I've been to multiple bands. I had, two little side concerts, but there was a huge just selection of music that they had brought out there for us, and I really appreciate everybody just coming out there.
So going back to our first stop in the city, we went to the American Museum of Natural History. So what was your favorite exhibit that you saw?
I have to say my favorite exhibit was the Hayden's Big Bang Theory. That was a lot of good information that I did not know about our solar system and our Earth sits. It was really fascinating to learn about that. It was also standing around in the big circle, watching the screen on the floor. It really made me feel like I was moving in outer space with the whole thing. So it got me more into it, and I felt like I could pay more attention to the information that it was trying to tell me. So that was really exciting.
My favorite exhibit was the dinosaurs because that was like the first time I ever seen, and at the same time, like the size comparison just blew my mind when I first entered into the room, and then seeing like the past and all that stuff was crazy.
Dinosaurs are so cool.
Yes.
I did not stop talking about dinosaurs for like a week before the field trip. I'm so sorry for all of my friends.
I do agree. I love the dinosaurs. As a little kid, I'd always just loved how many varieties of species that there were. It was just a great thing to discover, and I hadn't done a lot of research on it, but being able to look back at that and think of me being a little kid again, it definitely put a smile on my face for the rest of the day.
There was a like little wall sort of thing, and it had like the Coelophysis skeletons that like made people think that they were cannibalistic dinosaurs. And there's like a whole lot of stuff, but I had like learned about it a few years ago, and I was like, oh my god, I remember this. I remember seeing photos of these fossils. I remember reading all about it. So I stayed there for like 5 minutes, and the poor person I was looking around with got stuck with me in one spot.
My favorite exhibit was also the dinosaurs. There was also a minerals and rocks exhibit that I couldn't find. And then I saw pictures on somebody's social media that they were in the exhibit. And I really wish I went with them in that group because I really wanted to see it.
So next we went to the Empire State Building. I won't mention any names, but one of the teachers that I was with was pretty pale as we rode the elevator up 86 floors. What was your impression of the Empire State Building?
It was really cool being on the top and being that high up and like putting your head between the wires, which I don't think you're supposed to do, but a lot of us did that.
No, we didn't endorse that at all.
Okay.
Just for the record.
So, but like looking past it, keeping our heads completely safe, no limbs hanging about. We were looking out the edge and looking at the tops of all these buildings, and it was just really cool being that high up in the air.
I love the experience from just like going up to even seeing everything from up there. Like the elevator ride alone was like, you look up and you already have like animations of like what's going on and like what happened back then while they were building it, while you were going up the elevator, and then going to like the very top where you see like everything. It was a very like beautiful sight to see, and it was crazy to be up there so high. And then even to come back down to see like a different type of thing when you're going down the elevator and having like a different type of feel. The entire Empire State Building was just a crazy experience.
Yeah, I thought it was a very incredible experience as somebody who has a fear of heights even.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, just being able to see it all from that view because, from the ground as we rode around on the bus, I found that, those buildings were some of the biggest I've ever seen, and then having them just appear minuscule beside the Empire State Building. And of course, at one point, looking at one of the binocular setups there, I was able to see a distant, if clouded by fog, Statue of Liberty, which is something I've always wanted to see. And even though we couldn't visit it on the trip, at least I got to have it in my sights a little bit.
Yeah. I'm also like scared of heights. So I had to get convinced to go to the 86th floor. very fun. It was just me and one teacher on like the elevator going up.
To bring it back a little bit to what Max was saying, definitely seeing the history of how the Empire State Building was really built, and all the lives that were destroyed and people that were killed trying to build this beautiful building for everyone to admire now. It was really cool, especially going on the elevators and seeing the videos of the animated builders building it up and the process they had to make to build that building.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely love the experience of being able to look through that history. You go to the sides of buildings, and they just have like information all over the walls. Again, the animation in the elevators was something I just found to be a little neat. But I was so excited just to go up to the 86th floor. I had like students all around me being like, "My God, are you really gonna go up? That's kind of scary." It was so cool. I took a lot of pictures up there, and when I got up to the floor and got outside, I was definitely taking a couple of videos, and everyone's like, "You're gonna drop your phone at the side of the guardrail," and it was a great experience. I mean, that's something nobody gets to do that often, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely a jaw-dropping view when you got to the 86th floor. It was incredible what you could see from up there.
I actually spotted out the Statue of Liberty, and it was really hard to see, but
Just a little bit.
it just
Ever so
yeah,
slightly, you know.
it was also really neat being able to look down on buildings, just see life as it moves.
Yeah.
Everything kind of had this sort of shine to it.
So moving on, we talked a little bit, or some of you mentioned a little bit about your impressions of Broadway, but is there anything that you would want to add? Was it what you expected? What did you think of seeing it on Broadway, Hamilton on Broadway, and maybe what was your favorite song, if you have one?
I honestly, I thought it was gonna be kind of boring, and then we got there, and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah, I understand that.
Well, my first impression of Hamilton, like just by just hearing it and stuff like that, watching like a couple of videos where we actually went there, it was like, it's probably just gonna be like a little boring stuff like that. Something I'm not gonna get into. Second, I stepped into the building and they started going over. I felt the energy, and it was just pumped, really exciting, amazing, and stuff like that. And if I had to pick a song of my favorite, it would either have to be the first one, Alexander Hamilton, or The King. They're kind of tied.
I know we all had the King's song stuck in our head for like a week
it's-
afterwards. We were all singing it in the hallways.
It is still stuck in my head.
Throughout my life, I've had Broadway sort of cropped up as like the pretty much the ultimate place where plays and musicals are had and shown, and it's impossible to get into them because they're so popular. And I went into that with that expectation, and still my predisposed views were shattered, and it was amazing to behold. One of those chandeliers in that building was probably worth more than my house.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful theater.
Probably more than all of our houses combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but overall, Hamilton, it was not what I was expecting at all. And like I had been to a couple of concerts, never really a musical in Broadway, but the amount of effort they put into it, again, I don't know what I was expecting from it, but it made me so excited just to be there. Again, a lot of these things that we're able to experience, I loved every single second of it. I'd have to say, out of Hamilton, one of my favorite songs would definitely be the first, Alexander Hamilton. And the second, I don't know. It's very difficult for me to decide, but it was great. I love the whole experience. The cast was just out there having fun. You could see them they put so much pride and everything into it, and it's totally made it worth.
It was so good.
Yeah.
For sure.
As a person not too fond of musicals, when I did get to Hamilton, didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of just sitting there not really knowing what it was about. But when they did start playing and start singing, I could feel the emotion, I could feel the power from their voices, and it was just amazing that every single one of them had a beautiful voice, and it kind of opened up a new appreciation for musicals for me. So it was a good experience.
Yeah.
It absolutely, sort of rocked my world. I definitely enjoyed the King song. I would have loved to play the King if I could.
Yeah.
And I remember at the beginning of the play when we got the that little booklet at the beginning that sort of
Oh,
goes
the
over the
playbill?
cast. Well, yes, the playbill. And I was inquiring Max as to what the pose that Alexander Hamilton was doing there on the front of it at the top of the star, and I just thought it was a creative choice at the beginning, but as it turned out, and as he and I discovered towards the end of the thing, it actually had a pretty significant plot importance towards his actions at the end of the film, or at the end of the play. No,
Yeah.
no spoilers.
Spoilers. It only happened like 200 years ago. So I guess as like the person here who knew most of Hamilton before this, throughout my years, I have seen like pirated clips from the show because they're everywhere on YouTube. So I had like general expectations of like what it would look like, stuff like that. Still blew like all of my expectations out of the water. Absolutely amazing. Loved it with all of my heart. I don't have a favorite song because I love all of them, but Wait For It is still absolutely amazing. Same with 10 Dual Commandments. There is something about those songs that just like is so good, and I can't explain it because it's good in like the best way possible, and they just won't leave your head for some reason.
So, what was your favorite part of the trip, or can you boil it down to one? Piper.
Museum.
Mine will be the obviously Hamilton, but what also helped a lot when I first arrived was Hard Rock Cafe with amazing food and stuff like that. So that brought my it just had my like feelings like really high for it. And to walk into Hamilton, I was like already prepared for it. I was like, okay, this is gonna be really good. I was high hopes for it, and it did not disappoint.
I have to agree with Max. Hamilton was my favorite part of this whole New York trip.
I think my favorite part was just traveling in general, like just being on the bus and talking to all of my friends, and just going to New York and seeing like the different experience. It's a lot different. It's a lot different than New Hampshire, especially Lisbon. It's like a big city, and then we're just in like this tiny little town. It's crazy.
For sure. I would have to concur with Max and Dominic. I very much enjoyed Hamilton. Of course, the bus ride there was, fantastic. Speaking with everyone, the bus ride home, perhaps less so.
For me, the entirety of it, I could never boil it down to a T. I loved every second of it, being able to travel. New York is very culturally diverse. You see a lot of things, again, you don't see in Lisbon, New Hampshire, You think of this little small town, and it's just, for us to be able to go out there, it was a great experience, and I'm sure we could all agree with that. I definitely liked just being able to be outside for once as well. COVID has taken a toll, and it's just, everything was so fun.
Final thoughts.
My final thought is overall, this New York trip was a very, very, very good trip, and I appreciated everyone who gone and made that time better. It was good.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed almost every second of it, and a huge thanks to the Ed Foundation for sponsoring and supporting our endeavors to expand our minds culturally, educationally, and whatnot.
I didn't get lost, and that was the best part because we all thought I would.
I'm very proud of you, Piper.
I'm very grateful that the foundation gave us this grant to go to New York. It was so unexpected. I had fun, my friends had fun, teachers had fun, and overall it was a great experience for everyone who was there. I hope.
I hope. I think everyone had fun.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was definitely worth the 5-hour ride there and back, and definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
Especially since we didn't have to pay nearly as much as we would have if we didn't get this very generous donation.
great to see everybody, happy and smiling and bubbly. It makes worth the while to just be around so many people who are having a great time, and it's just,
Yeah.
that energy is amazing.
And I got to hang out with one of my favorite teachers, so all's well that ends well.
All's well that ends well.
Thank you for listening to the last podcast of the 2021-22 school year. We hope you've enjoyed the first year of podcasting. Thank you to Mrs. Woods for her efforts in bringing podcasting to Lisbon Regional School, and thank you to the Ed Foundation for their generous grant for the equipment. If you have any suggestions for topics for next year, please contact Mrs. Woods. Have a great summer.